Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. Doesn't matter if you prefer Toby, Andrew, Tom, we can all agree Spider-Man is objectively one of the best superheroes out there. Now, we obviously have the new Spider-Man film coming out this summer, which, by the way, I am so excited for, and they filmed some of it near where I live. How exciting is that? Anyway, I am in the Spider-Man mood. I've got my spider senses tingling, also known as my creative senses, and I just want to do something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Spider-Man as inspiration for a creative project. So today we are going to upcycle some old hoodies into a new Spider-Man inspired hoodie, jumper, same thing. Do I have a plan? No, not really, but I've got a vision. So we're just gonna go for it. Let's go. Let's make a Spider-Man inspired hoodie. If you enjoyed this video, maybe give it a like, stick around, subscribe if you want to see more. Let me know who your favorite Spider-Man is and why. I'll tell you at the end what I think. And let me know what you think I should make next. I'm always open to suggestions, but let's go. Let's just do it. Let's just try. If it goes wrong, we'll see. We'll deal with that when we get to it. So this is what we're working with. I got two hoodies, obviously the iconic Spider-Man red and blue, and I'm going to cut these up and stick them together. Slight setback, I got both these hoodies from Vinted, so they're both initially from Primark because I wanted to get the same brand so the hoodies would look and be the same size. I did specifically look for listings that said they had only been worn once. However, due to the nature of buying secondhand, obviously people can lie, and while this red hoodie was in very good condition, the blue was very clearly well worn. There was piling and it had shrunk slightly, so it had clearly been washed a few times. This was obviously quite frustrating, but I'm going to make it work anyway because I don't want to waste it and I want to give it a new life. The blue is also quite light, which initially wasn't really the vibe I was going to go for, but I actually like how it looks, so I think it works well. So as I often do, I decided to just go for it and started cutting things. Using a reference image of Andrew's suit, I started cutting into the blue sleeves just to copy the pattern. I also followed the colour blocking on the front of his suit and mimicked this with the front panels. And here I am just refining the outline. Next was tackling the pockets. Because of the front of the suit, the blue was going to overlap over the pockets, but I still wanted them to be functional, so instead of just sewing over the top, I had to first seam rip the pockets. This was a bit tricky because the edges are machined down with lots of small secure stitches, but after a while, and I do mean a while, we did get there. I then cut the pockets and front panel of the blue hoodie, because this will sit on top of the red hoodie. I then started playing around with the placement, moving the fabric around before pinning it down in place. This bit was just a lot of back and forth of cutting, folding over and pinning, again just moving around, playing with the placement until I was happy with how it looked and that I thought it reflected the suit well. And this is what the hoodie looks like so far with all the blue pieces pinned in place. The next thing to do is to sew these down securely in place. To do so, I used a straight stitch on the sewing machine and just got to sewing. It was a little tricky on the arms because of the small size, but it just meant I had to go a little slower and it was okay in the end. Here you can see the left side is sewn down, whereas the right side is only pinned, so obviously we then move on to doing the right side. At this point I also went over the pockets, laying them down and stitching them in place so that they would still be functional. This was just a lot of slow sewing at the machine, slower because of the small spaces I had to get round, but the fabric itself was really easy to work with because it was just, you know, that usual hoodie fleece fabric, so not too bad, and actually I didn't mind this process. And this is what the hoodie looks like so far. This obviously gives you a good look with the big block colours. You can kind of already tell it's Spider-Man, the colours are so iconic, and you can kind of see where the suit inspiration is bleeding through. But I'm actually really happy with how it looks so far, and I could just keep it like this, but I want to go more on that Spider-Man theme. Okay, so update for where we're at with the hoodie. So, low-key, we're kind of like halfway there already, but I feel like we've done the easy bit. So, I've got the like main blocks of blue sewn onto the red hoodie. So the red hoodie is basically the base, and then this has kind of been like, it's like doing an applique on. So I've done it all except for these bits here, because, be helpful if you could see, wouldn't it? So because of how tight the armhole is there, originally I was going to take the arms completely off and do it separately, but I just thought it'd be easier to keep them on. So what I'm gonna do here for these bits is just do it by hand, because it's just a tiny little bit. The rest is all machine stitched. Perfect. But yeah, so we've got the basic blocks of colour. The next thing will be to hand sew this on and then start working on the spider appliques on the front and the back. For the back, I want to print stuff off, so I need to like figure out if I can get the printer working. We'll see. But let me just show you what it looks like on. So it's really comfy, but here you go. I'm really pleased with this. Obviously, like, it just, I mean, I think with the colour blocking already, you can tell it's Spider-Man. Let me just, like, to be honest, I probably wear it like this. Yeah, comfy to wear. So obviously, like, the spider on the front and then the spider on the back. So that's next. But yeah, I'm really happy, and this already, like, hasn't taken that long. Yeah. I like this, it's cute, fun, silly project, but super easy so far, so yeah. I will update you. What's next? Let's just move on. We'll see. The next update might be just when it's done, but yeah, I think it's good. Should we see what the hood looks like? Oh yeah, nice. This is a massive hood. So next time you try and tell me that I'm not Spider-Man, actually I am. I like scale a wall. So do a forward roll if you'd like. I can't do a cartwheel. Pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, so the plan was to use my printer to print out a template of the spider logo. Again, we're modelling off of Andrew's suit just because I think his suit looks cool and I like him. However, my printer was not playing ball, and for some reason it just wouldn't print. I'm not sure if it just didn't have any ink, but I did not have time to be dealing with all this, and I'm not good at technology anyway. So I resorted to just tracing the spider from my laptop with a pen and cutting that out instead to use as a template, which, while it wasn't the original plan, it worked just as well. I was careful when cutting because obviously we want to try and keep that spider shape as authentic as possible, as this is going to be used as the template. I always find it funny whenever I'm cutting something out, especially if it's really fiddly, it takes me back to first school. And I don't know if everyone else had those like iconic red scissors, but it really takes me back, because I feel like no one does arts and crafts anymore. We need more arts and crafts in our life. You know, I feel like at first school they do it a lot, but we just need to be crafting more. Everyone get crafting. Drop your crafting ideas in the comments so everyone can craft together. Using the template I'd made, I just sketched the logo onto the blue fabric in pen. And this is what it looks like. Not too bad. I think that you can tell it's a spider, so I'm happy with that. This isn't actually any kind of fabric pen, it's just a biro, but since I'm cutting this out, it doesn't matter, since you're not going to see it anyway. I then stitched around the spider shape a few millimeters from the pen line all the way around the design. I had to move the fabric a lot just to get round those tricky shapes. Again, a little bit time consuming, not perfect, but I'm pretty happy with it. So here we have the spider design. Cool, but not exactly what we're going for. Plus, we don't want to see that pen line. So now I'm going to use my scissors to cut only the blue layer of fabric. This is really important because if I cut into the red, everything's going to go wrong. I'm joking, but it's not ideal and it's not what we want to do. Using the pen line as a guide for where to cut, I snipped into the blue fabric, and there you can see the red just peeking out underneath. This was a bit fiddly, but I started with less precise cuts and then refined the design down. I will say as well, I was trying to show the camera what I was doing, but it is really difficult to cut out fabric in this way. Obviously trying to not cut through both layers with scissors that were too big because I couldn't find my smaller scissors and capture it on camera, so I apologise, but you get the idea. And here is the spider logo. I'm actually really happy with how this looks, and I think it's super effective. This technique is called a reverse applique. I don't know if I've ever actually included it in a project before, but I think it's actually pretty easy and comes out looking really effective. So 10 out of 10 would recommend. I then just went back and hand sewed the blue fabric on the sleeves to secure it down. This had obviously mostly been done on the machine, but it was just those final edges that I couldn't reach because the armhole was too tight. Okay, now the last thing to do is the Spider-Man logo on the front of the hoodie. I sketched again around the spider template I made and started on the embroidery. I used a stem stitch to sketch out the design, but in thread on my fabric. This was quite time consuming, but I'm super happy with the design and I think it looks really effective. So here we are. How long later? I don't know. I've got no concept of time. So here we are, finished jacket. I actually think this is so cute. I am very excited about this. So obviously I only decided to go with the embroidery on one half of the jacket instead of two. I was really tossing up. I mean, to be honest, there may be a point in the future where I add it on this side as well. I kind of liked the asymmetry vibe. Usually I'm not an asymmetrical girly, but I kind of was just vibing with it, so I'm gonna leave it like that for now, and then like I said, if I change my mind I can always change it in future. Honestly, I think this is just a really fun little upcycle project. I mean, my favorite bit is probably the spider on the back. That was super fun. A bit of reverse applique, quite easy. It's really comfy. I think just like a good way to upcycle two hoodies. Like I said, I got them on Vinted, like what, £2 each or something, and now I have a completely new hoodie just in time to go watch the new Spider-Man, which I'm very excited about. I've always loved Spider-Man. I mean, who doesn't love Spider-Man? Probably one of the best superheroes ever. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. This was a super fun little project to make. Yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day. Let me know, what do you think I should sew next? Because I don't know, I'm always looking for ideas. But yes, have a lovely day. Keep sewing.